Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. It is the Christmas season, which means Christmas horror is upon us, and that is
You
why.
should have you should have introduced me as Santa and you as my elf.
Why are you Santa and I'm your elf?
Yeah, I think that's how it'd go down.
Poppycock, Timmy. Poppycock. So
That's a great name for an elf.
exactly, yeah, you can take the name Poppycock. I'll be Santa, you can be Poppycock. So we are doing a Christmas movie this episode. We are doing the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a bit of a redo actually, because way back when we started this show, like 4 years ago, almost 4, before sometime next year, we did Silent Night, Deadly Night way back when, but it was back when, well, let's be honest, it was shit, and other people were here. Me and Tim did not have the, quite frankly, downright homoerotic tension that we have now that makes this show
I was
tick.
alright, but yeah.
Yeah, you were alright, sure, yes. So we thought it was worth redoing and having a good discussion about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and also Tim really wanted to do it so that we could do the second one. Not this year though. There's no point in doing the second one this year because the second one is 70% the same damn movie, so that's not happening. But we'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll warn you before we go into spoilers, and we will talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984. Here we go. What is it about, you may ask? Silent Night, Deadly Night is about a young kid named Billy whose parents are murdered by someone dressed as Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. So he grows up with a few, how to I put this, interesting tics, we'll say. He has some interesting tics that result in him having some serious issues when it comes to Christmas. He is forced.
Well,
yes.
I mean, to be fair, it kind of sounds like you're putting a little bit of the blame on him when I feel like
I'm
the
not.
entire.
There's a villain in this movie that we're going to talk about. I am not blaming him. Well, I'm not saying he should be let to run rampant, but I am not blaming him. No.
I have like a fan theory where like really the whole universe is out to get this kid because there's easily there seems like there's a couple of different ways that you can basically get this kid to hate Christmas, but like they throw like 6 or 7 of them at you like the first maybe I don't know like first fifth of this movie or something is just like kind of relentless for this kid.
He's going through a gauntlet of Christmas stuff. Yeah. There's no denying that. But so basically, he is forced to wear a Santa outfit for a job when he's 18, and he snaps and goes on a killing spree dressed as Santa Claus. Hence the title, Silent Night, Deadly Night. So, yeah, that's the movie. So we've both seen this before, obviously. As we said, we've done like a sort of beta version of this episode long ago, which is not worth seeking out. In fact, I'll probably wipe it from the history books. Before this goes up, you can't even go find it anymore. But no. So we both love this movie, right? I'm correct in saying that. We love this movie.
Of course.
It's not a good movie per se, but it's a phenomenally entertaining movie to watch. It is. I think it is the crown jewel of the Christmas horror movie, in many ways. It's not the best one, but it's the crown jewel nonetheless.
Sure. Yeah, I think I don't think many people would argue that obviously Black Christmas is, like the superior, in terms of good horror movie. Yeah. But I feel like this and Christmas Evil, I think usually are the ones people point to as being like the bad Christmas horror movies, and both are great. But I think this one edges it out.
Yeah, for the record, I love Black Christmas. I like. It's one of my favorites. Black Christmas is fantastic. I'm not saying that this is better than Black Christmas. I'm saying that this has a reputation. Do you know what it is? It's got a better title. That's what it is. It's got a better title.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, the title's great, and then like especially like with the, I mean I don't know if everyone realizes that's where it's from, but the second one becomes very notorious, with the garbage day like meme and stuff that has kind of floated around the internet or whatever.
Well, it did like 10, 15 years ago. I feel like that meme's old now. This is the sad thing, Tim. I feel like now we're at the point where there's certain memes that are now nostalgic.
That is crazy.
Like, like now I'll see a certain meme from like 2004 and be like, whoa, I feel nostalgic. I've not seen that meme in so long. And I'm like, wait a minute, memes are that old now that there's nostalgic memes? Jesus, that's weird.
Oof. Yeah, that is pretty insane.
Yeah. Do you remember like the whole motivational poster meme craze that went on for like a couple of years?
Not really. I mean, I was like pretty late to like, I don't know, meme culture or whatever you want to call it. Like, but
all right, Tim. Okay. Old man, Grandpa Tim behind the times.
But yeah, back to the movie though. Obviously, it's great. It's very ludicrous. It's like, this is kind of what you want, like from like, a bad movie. You have all the tropes, like you have like like some bad acting, like ludicrous storylines, like actually like surprisingly like somewhat inventive kills, but.
Mm-hmm. No, some of kills are quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's all pretty glorious though.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies where you watch it and there's so many like there's these weird ideas that are just don't feel natural, but they're kind of delightful in their absurdity when they go down.
Yeah,
and this movie is determined to turn this kid into the Santa killing machine, and everything about it is just like you said earlier. There's so many reasons given to him. His parents are killed by Santa Claus. The Santa Claus tries to rape his mother. His vegetative state grandfather, who's not spoken in years, wakes up when everyone else is outside the room just to tell him that Santa is going to punish him for being naughty and he should be terrified of Santa.
Which like, and it's not even like that's necessarily like a weird quirk that the grandpa has, because like later on, like you see like people singing this like weird creepy song about Santa where it's like, again, is this just a weird universe where like Santa punishes as much as he like presents people? Because I don't know.
Santa giveth and Santa taketh away.
There you
go. I guess to the point though where even if he sees a photo of Santa when he's, I say photo, you know what I mean, like a drawing or an image of Santa when he's older, he immediately gets this like tick where he's like. He starts to react to it violently, just in his face immediately. It's very bizarre. I love how he runs around yelling "punish" as he kills random people dressed as Santa Claus. It's delightfully entertaining.
Like even that is like kind of funny because it's like, wouldn't it make more sense with the Christmas theme, like for him to just like yell like naughty or something, but just like the idea like punish, like, oh, it's not something like we're familiar with Santa.
Because he does say that once or twice, but the one that sticks out in my head is definitely punish.
I think that's more catchphrase.
And I think it's because there's one, I won't spoil it too much because we're not in spoilers yet, but it's because of the one kill where he literally just jumps out into the door frame and yells punish at random at someone who up until that point has never encountered him. He just jumps out and yells punish.
Yeah.
Holding an axe. It's the whole thing. I think watching it again, it's only about 80 minutes long. Even this like unrated like director's cut that has some of the gore added back in, and you can tell the footage is different because it like has not been maintained the same way.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I was watching this on Blu-ray and I forget if, I mean, I guess it must happen in the other copies I watched, but like halfway through the movie, all of a sudden it just turns into like, whoa, am I watching like a VHS or something? Like, the quality dips pretty significantly.
Because the quality is surprisingly very good most of the time. It's when the kills start happening, there's just like some shots and some of the kill scenes are really crappy looking, and it's because they were deleted and they weren't well kept, and they put them back in. So,
all right. Because I wasn't sure if I just had like a weird copy or something.
I've never seen like the theatrical version though, and I'm curious. What I like about the quality changing though is that in my head I'm kind of like taking them out and like editing the scene down in my head. How did this death scene work without these shots? And I'm like, oh, this is weird. You can't remove that shot. And then
Also, the other thing, like I forgotten with like previous watches is just like the constant like jingling of bells. Like I kept thinking like what is that coming from in the house or something, or this? I guess it was like the bells that are on his costume, but it was like I was like going crazy by the end. I was like, stop jingling.
I love how you almost went to a Black Christmas reference. The bells are coming from within inside the house. So now, one of the things I was noticing watching it this time actually is 80 minutes long, and like 40 minutes of that is actually just the build up to like the snapping. Like, it takes a while to get there, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I think every single bit of build up is important. Like all of it works, and all of it you're constantly like going, why are they doing this? Why? I think the biggest culprit is the Mother Superior, the nun at the orphanage, who is basically, I'll be honest, she's culpable in every single death.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
She is culpable for what she puts him through. She is this hardcore Old Testament. You will do what I say, and tries to force him to do things. This woman is like the exact opposite of what actual therapy is. She is like, no, just man up and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, to the point where, I have to wonder, like, when they were sent to the orphanage, did they tell them why? Because like, who for the love of God would force a little child to sit on Santa's lap if you knew that their parents were murdered by Santa? Like,
yes, after tying him to his bed at night like a criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing, and this is the weird thing. He's got a little brother who's like a baby in the first few scenes, before the parents die. I know the brother's like a big deal in the sequel. Like he's the main character, right?
Yeah.
But like in this movie, after this opening section, they mention it like once, and it's like almost never brought up that he's got a brother.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah. Like, why is he there?
Forget it.
Why does he have a baby brother? It doesn't matter. It's never relevant in the whole movie. Did they know they wanted to make a sequel? This was the sequel clause.
Oh jeez. Yeah, like I'm sure as
I didn't even mean that, Tim, but that was gold.
I know. I'm sure as they were writing it, they could clearly see the potential for more movies.
Oh, of course. They're like, this is a gold mine. We can make these for years. Oh dear. So yeah, I mean, I love it a lot. It's goofy. The acting moments are kind of weird and lovable in all the best ways. I'll start mentioning specifics and spoilers here, but I just want to, it's delightful. So full spoilers then for Silent Night, Deadly Night. Should you care? I don't imagine you would. So like I say, the movie opens. He's traveling with his parents to his grandparents. Or his grandmother specifically, and they stop at his grandfather at this old folks home.
Nursing home, yeah.
And he is catatonic essentially. He's like in a vegetative state. And I love Billy's. Billy's like he's a really intelligent character actually. He calls things like he sees them, because the mother.
He's probably the only character that acts normal.
Yeah, because his mother points out that his grandfather can't even tell that they're there, and then Billy says. Then why did we come then? And I'm like, he's got a point! He's got a point!
I was like, there's so many things wrong with it. Like, yeah, all right. I guess it's sad, but yeah, I mean, technically, do they really need to go there? And then, if you are going to go there, should you just leave the child with him? Like, I don't know, if it's like a medical thing, like if something happens, like maybe shouldn't someone else be there other than like this small child?
Yeah. They're there for an update on his condition, but I'm like, he's been in a vegetative state for a while. What update is there? Unless you called him to tell him there was a change, they just show up to get an update. It's weird.
Yeah, and it's not like he's in a like if he was in a coma, wouldn't he be like lying down in a bed with like like all these like like tubes and stuff in him? Like instead, like it looks like he's fine. It's just he's kind of sitting up, just not really talking.
Yeah. And just for the record, I'm not saying it's weird that they come to visit him, even though I'm joking that Billy's got a point.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm saying that it's weird that they're here to talk to the doctor in his office about his condition when there's been no change. Like nothing's happened.
Yeah, no, it's very strange. And then, like, really, again, this is just like there's no reason for any of this stuff to be happening unless like the universe wants to scare this child. Like, it's it's all just set up so like this granddad can just it almost feels like the grandpa knew that this was gonna happen and he was just playing like the long game like oh if I pretend like that I can't like talk or understand things for 5 years, then there'll be a chance where I can like creep out my grandkid.
Hey, I'd respect that. If that's the whole point of this, if he's been playing the long game just to scare the shit out of his grandson, I will applaud that. But he wakes up when no one else is around and tells him that Santa punishes if you've been naughty or nice. He's like, I've been naughty a little bit. So, well, you don't want to meet Santa tonight. You don't want to meet him. So we see this Santa.
This would like generally freak me out too as a kid. Like, if
oh sure, yeah,
all of a sudden, like
he's dead serious when he says this. There's no jokiness to this.
And even if it wasn't like the fact, like even if he wasn't in a whatever coma or whatever he's in, like just like an old man grabbing you and saying that to you, like the actor is great in this. He is like generally like intense. Like I don't know, that is freaky.
So we see this Santa rob a store and sets up that he's a bit of a criminal who just shoots people on the fly.
A bit of a criminal, sure.
Bit of a criminal, yes. That was very British phrasing. Bit of a criminal means very much a criminal, just for the record. But so they're in the car, and Billy says to his parents, "Oh, does Santa punish people for being bad?" And this is what disproves your theory. This is an alternate reality where everyone knows that Santa punishes as much as he gives. Because his mother was like, "Where did you hear a thing like that? Santa punishing you." She was very upset.
Well, I guess her dad never sat her down and had the talk.
Apparently not, even though he's very eager to have the talk with his grandson right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's interesting to note though, before they go to the see the grandpa, he's very excited about Santa and he's very worried, like, are they gonna make it home in time, because he wants to make sure that he's in bed so Santa can deliver the present. So he's very pro Santa at that point, and then after the grandpa, now he's very anti Santa.
Yes, to the point where they come across this evil Santa who's broken down in the car that he's got, and they see, oh, look at this, Santa's broken down up ahead. He must be going to a party or something like that. And then Billy wakes up because he's asleep in the back seat, and he's like, "No, it's Santa! Don't stop! Keep driving! He's dangerous!" And
like the parents are into it though. They're like, "Hey, you might get to see Santa this year anyway." Like, it's. I think it's kind of cute that the parents are like, "Oh, hey, like this is gonna be nice for him." Like, he's worried about missing Santa, and here he is. And then, of course, not realizing the trauma he just went through.
Little do they know that his warning is correct. This is dangerous. Keep driving. Leave him here in the middle of the night, please. Because the dude comes up, pulls out a gun immediately, and starts to shoot the dad, and then tries to root the mom, but then just kills her because she's fighting too much. And then Billy witnesses the whole thing, and this gives him a lot of trauma, not only with Santa but also with sex. Because one of the scenes that I'd forgotten about early on is that he sees one of the older kids, or two of the older kids, having sex.
When he's in the orphanage?
When he's in the orphanage.
Yeah,
and he's looking through the keyhole, and this is shot so dramatically with the light of the keyhole on his eye, and it keeps cutting back to this intense close-up as he's watching the sex. And there's a close-up at one point of the guy like playing with a woman's nipple, and it's like this intense close-up of the nipple, and then it flashes back to his mother like being assaulted, and it's just like, oh my god, what...
This poor kid.
I know. So Mother Superior gets very upset because Billy draws a nasty... They're drawing in class, and he draws a Santa who's murdered a dog. And my favourite thing about this scene is that because the nun's like, "Oh, Billy, come up and show the class what you've drawn," and he goes to pin it up on the board. And it's one of the girls in the class. I love this girl's performance. She just goes, "Oh, sister, look what he's drawn!" It's the way she says it just cracks me up.
Oh yeah, no, it's great, and yeah, it's like played for such a shock. And then like again, like at this point, you know what this kid's been through, and you see him doing this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, this is when you should start like looking at like therapy and maybe ways to help help the child process what he's been through. But
so let us follow the line of events here. He has been taught that Santa will punish if you're naughty. He has then seen, this horrible sex act. He has clearly got trauma related to Santa Claus. He's got trauma related to sex. On top of that, Mother Superior tries to convince him that the sex act that he saw was very, very naughty and it shouldn't be done, and you'll be punished for it. And she spanks him because he was out of his room or something like that with the belt. In fact, she spanks the kids who were having sex. She just kind of grabs a belt and starts whipping at them, as you do. Right, and then she ties him to a bed because he's wandering at night. He's having nightmares. And she's like, oh, see, he's fine the next morning because he was tied to the bed. Look, my methods work, sister. Because there's a nicer nun who kind of cares about him. And she's like, oh, my methods work. He is going to sit in Santa's lap later today, and he is going to enjoy it. He's going to behave himself. And of course, he gets dragged into Santa kicking and screaming. And I'm like, this woman is responsible for every murder this kid does. She is making his condition 100 times worse by forcing him to do this. This is not what you do. This is not healthy. This is like a parent of a gay kid who's trying to convert them to be straight. That's what this is.
Oh, sure, yeah.
This is what this is. This is just forcing. No, be normal. Yeah. Be normal. Just be normal. That's what she's doing. It is.
I feel like even if he didn't have the trauma, I feel like you shouldn't force a kid to sit on Santa's lap. Like, if they don't want to, that's fine.
Yeah, maybe this is like 21st century thinking, but sitting on a stranger's lap's kind of creepy, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's kind of creepy. Now, she comes off as this horrible parent who's determined to have her kid, like, conform to her views. But in this case, it's not even just that they're different. It's that, no, he has suffered this trauma. He is broken. Yeah. Let him heal. Get him help. But no. Yeah. Oh, my God. So this results, he forces her on Santa's lap, and then he dislikes it so much that he actually punches Santa in the face. And it is a proper punch. Like, it's not just like he elbows him or something like that. He properly
Santa
swings.
Goes down.
It's a bloody nose. Santa's got a bloody nose. It's a whole thing. So this entire section at the orphanage is just gold after gold of like ridiculous. And then it cuts to, your quote unquote present day of 1984. Year of our Lord, 1984. Year of our Terminator, 1984. Year of Gremlins and other things. So basically the nice nun is begging this toy store manager for a job for Billy. So Billy's just turned 18, he needs a job, and he's like, oh no, this is a job for a man, not a boy. Like, he's going to be lugging boxes and stocking things and blah blah. And she's like, oh, at least meet him. And then the manager turns around and we get the the shot they do in movies, but especially in 80s movies, where the guy like meets the really hot girl and she's like really attractive. So it starts off at the bottom of the legs and then like slowly tilts up the body to eventually get to the attractive face. It does that with Billy, where it starts off at his legs and he goes up, and the manager's looking him up and gets to the top, and he's a big dude. He's like 6'5", he's muscly, he's well built, and he's like, oh well, I always like to help the church. And I'm not saying there was definite homoerotic like
I'll say there
intentions here, but it was definitely coming off that way.
At the time, maybe that's not what they were trying to go for, but that totally reads as like some homoerotic undercurrent. Like
he was like, oh, this is some beefcake.
Yeah, like definitely like to the point where I watch it where I'm like, oh yeah, like he's like the shopkeeper like is in love with this boy. Like there's no way around it.
Which was further exemplified because he gets the job, and then we go into this really cheesy montage with this really upbeat song playing. Of him working at the store and fitting in. Because one of the things that's established in the orphanage section is that he's actually fine most of the year. It's only during Christmas where he gets kind of weird and kind of aggressive. And
I wonder why.
He's just working in this toy store, which, by the way, if you've got a problem... Even the good nun's a little bit at fault here, because she got him a job in a toy store, which is probably the most Christmassy place you could probably work.
Yeah, that's pretty dangerous. I like at the bare minimum, like get him the job, but then say, oh yeah, by the way though, like no Santa stuff. If there's gonna be like a really really Christmassy things, maybe he can stay home like those days. But
Yeah, put him in Dunder Mifflin, stocking paper. Like
Sure.
that's safe. Put him in that job. So we get this montage, and there's a lot of him like just like putting things in shelves and smelling at customers and smelling with the other staff members. The girl he's kind of got a crush on. But
Picking
the thing that
little
really
kids up so they can reach the top shelf.
yeah. But my favorite part of this, and it's so stupid, is the manager comes out of his office and he looks over and he sees Billy, like, you know, just like either talking to a customer or something, and he turns around and the manager looks kind of disappointed, like he's mad that he's not doing enough work or something like that. And then Billy walks away from the customer and he walks past like a shelf and he notices that one of the kids' like colouring books or whatever it is tilted. So he fixes it, he realigns it at the front of the row. And then it cuts back to the manager, and he does this face. Sorry for the audio people, because I can't really describe this, but he does this face. He gets very proud all of a sudden, like he's the best employee he's ever had. And I'm like, all he did was straighten a thing on a shelf. That is not Employee of the Month material. Which further proves that he is the hots for Billy. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Also, like, it's kind of surprising that there's more than 2 people that work at the store. Like,
the place isn't that big, and there's like 5 staff members at all times. It's kind of weird. Like, I get it, during the Christmas rush, you'd probably have some extra staff in, but like, there's like a whole and it's really just so that we've got a lot of people to kill once he goes nuts. But
oh yeah. Like, especially like, you know, and it's kind of weird too. Like the one kind of like horny, like pervy dude that's like, you know, why are you working at a kid's toy store? It seems kind of weird.
Yeah, especially his attitude with Billy's kind of weird. So basically, the guy who was playing Santa in the store calls in sick. So the manager's like, "Hey, Billy, you're going to have to be Santa." So this is what gets him in the Santa suit.
Like, what? Again, like, why would this ever happen? Like, there's no reason unless like the universe like decides that this needs to happen.
To be fair to the manager, though, I don't think he's aware of what his backstory is. So, you know, the nuns I'm going to give shit to, because I'm pretty sure they know fine well what happened to him.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But the manager, at least he doesn't know, so it's fine. Although he does scare the shit out of one of the kids. He basically turns into his own grandfather when there's a kid on his lap. And he's like, "Shut up, or I'll punish you."
Well, I love this scene because he's just like, it's so funny the way he's just like mumbling under his breath. He's like, "Stop it, sit still, stop it." And like, at what point would the parent not run up and be like, "What's going on? Like, what are you doing to my like daughter?"
No. Instead, it cuts back to the parents. It's like, "Oh, he's so good with children, isn't he?"
Yeah.
And then, in fact, I'm pretty sure the manager like nods at her and then turns back and does that same face again, where he sort of turns his head and just sort of smells at it. He's like, yeah.
What is wrong with me? This is like what's great about like, you know, like when people wonder like, you know, the difference between, you know, like a genuinely bad movie versus like a movie that's trying to be bad or whatever. Like, it's just like no real human could like write these things and think like, oh, this is how real people act. Like nothing about this is genuine to the human experience.
It's baffling. So end of Christmas Eve, and so the manager's all like, because the manager like locks the door at the end of the Christmas Eve shift and he's like, "Time to get loaded," because it's, you know, it's Christmas Eve and the horrible season's gone. Which, by the way, I actually think this is horrible writing as well, just in the sense that if you're the manager, if you own a toy store, you love Christmas, because Christmas is where you make like 95% of your money.
Oh yeah.
Right? That is where you make the majority of your income for the year. So why you'd be, I mean, obviously it'd be tiring and you know, it'd be a lot of work for like a month or whatever, but I don't think you would be this enthusiastic for it to end.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Actually, one quick thing too, that I do just want to mention. I love that the toy store actually has like real recognizable stuff. Like, I feel like a lot of like, because like you see there's like actual like Star Wars figures in the background, and there was like, you know, Mickey Mouse cut out and stuff, and like I feel like most people are always like so worried about, you know, copyright stuff or whatever, that they would just have like very generic stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see this movie paying at the time Fox for, you know, the fact that you could see some Return of the Jedi toys in the background. I think there's something. This might be wildly inaccurate, so don't quote me on this or take legal advice from this. But I think there's a point where if it's in like a let's say you shoot a scene in a movie store, right? And there's a lot of VHS or Blu-rays or DVDs or whatever in the background. I think there's a point where if it's just like if there's so many of them that it's like you're not focusing on it, so it doesn't really matter that there's technically a lot of little copyright things in the background.
Oh, sure.
Because it's just a sea of things. You're not really focusing any of them. And I would imagine that these Toy Store scenes kind of fall under that category to some extent.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yeah. And, I mean, if they're... it's pretty stupid if there's, like, like a law where you can't have, like, just crappy stuff in the background or whatever.
Yeah.
I imagine, like, that it's probably not that big a deal. I imagine, like, other movies probably just don't do it just so the possibility doesn't come up or whatever.
Yeah, but Saturday Night Deadly Night apparently has gotten lucky, and at no point over the last 30 years have they tried to ban the movie for unlicensed Star Wars merchandise in the background. Yeah. So we get to the party scene, right? And by party, all I mean is that the employees start drinking in the store. That is all we're talking about here. And he's, Billy's got a crush on this girl. He's been fantasizing about her, but then having nightmares about like killing her, kind of thing. And the pervy guy, who's a bit of an asshole, leads her away into the back room, and Billy kind of follows to like spy and like listen to what's going on. And this guy is like so obviously sleazy. And I mean, if nothing, he's also a rapist, quite frankly, because he kind of forces himself on her. But even before this, I'm like, first of all, how blatant can you be? Because he keeps saying, "Oh, I've got a present for you," but no, we have to do it alone in the back. Oh, it's right around here behind all these boxes. You're going to love it. This is so blatant. Like, no, this is stupid. But when she resists him when he actually goes in for anything, he gets very kind of violent and throws her down. And this is when Billy steps in and kills him. They kind of establish that he's kind of superhuman here because he wraps his neck in Christmas lights and then holds it up with one hand and hangs him with one hand. So,
it's cool.
Yeah, it was nice. The woman's reaction though felt a bit weird to me because I get that he's just killed the guy, so it's an extreme thing that's just happened. But she immediately calls him a freak and then screams for help. She said, "Get away from me, you freak, you bastard, you crazy son of a bitch." It's like she's upset this guy who was trying to rape her has just been killed. And I get that the murder specifically is a bit further than it needed to be, but he did just kind of come in and save the day a little bit.
Yeah.
So you think, okay, maybe like he will only kill people who have done bad things. Instead, he just kills her immediately.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then he kills everyone else in the store.
And then the first thing with the lights is pretty cool. Then everything else, it's not like super interesting. Like, does he have the axe at this point or
not yet? I thought you don't see it go in per se. I like the impact of the hammer on the head, though, the manager's head.
Oh yeah.
And I like when you see him afterwards lying there dead. There's just a hammer sticking out of his head.
Yeah,
I did like that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but so this so that's not bad. But then I really like once he leaves the store and like his rampage kind of like really begins.
Yeah, because it's basically a series of different murder scenes just kind of strung together before we get to the background to the plot, if you can call it that, for the last like 10-15 minutes. Because he goes to this random house where again it's a couple having sex inside. They're on a pool table for some reason, and they've got a little girl upstairs, but they're having sex, and for some reason, so what's weird is this is definitely a movie with some gratuitous boob shots, right? But the weird thing is that both the boob shots, actually no, 2 of the 3 boob shots up until now have been in attempted rape scenes. It feels really sleazy because you get this sense that they still treated it like, oh, this will give us cred with the guys because there's boob shots, and I'm like, yeah, but the attempted rape scenes.
That's not the circumstance most people want to see that.
And even the third one that I was referring to, the teenagers having sex earlier on, that was intercut with the attempted rape scene. So it was still, it wasn't exactly like, hey, let's just get into boobs. But for some reason, this couple are starting to have sex, and she thinks.
Wait, did you say for some reason?
Well, not the sex for some reason. For some reason, it's coming in a second, Timmy.
Okay.
Right. The woman thinks that her cat wants in from outside, so she puts on some like shorts and goes to get the cat. She opens her front door to let the cat in, completely topless. Not only is she opening the door to the outside completely topless where anyone could see her, it's also snowing everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's very cold.
So it's cold, and also, neighbors could see her, anyone could see her, and I'm like, this is like, okay, if you didn't think this was gratuitous up until this point, and why you would think that I don't know, but if you didn't, her going to open the front door topless is it, right? There you go, we've passed that gratuity line.
I don't know, man. It's you never like go out to pick up the paper, forget you have pants, and just kind of go, oh, well, whatever.
No.
Oh.
Never. Literally never.
Right.
I'm just saying this one kind of stuck out to me, and this is where she's walking towards the door to shut it again after the cats came in. Billy just jumps into the door frame and shouts, "Punish!" and he's holding an axe. And then he impales her on the reindeer head that's on the wall.
That's pretty great.
Or the moose head, whatever it was. It was antlers.
Yeah. It was just like a deer with antlers or something. But it's pretty great. You get the next shot. You see the shadows, her body slowly starting to go in, being impaled on the deer horns, and then. You're right. He is like kind of like freakishly like inhuman. Like he like just picks up the boyfriend and just like throws him out the window like it was nothing.
Yes. And then the little girl comes up and says, "Santa, did you bring me something?" And he kneels down next to her and says, "Have you been naughty or nice?" And she's like, "I've been nice." So he gives her a present. He gives her a bloody
box cutter.
Box cutter, yeah, that he used to kill someone else. That's a present. And then he leaves. And then we get to the sledding scene, which I know you're probably a fan of here, yes.
That's fantastic.
So we have these two bullies who are the same age as the other guys, and they're all like 16, which is kind of weird because I feel like by 16 you're kind of outgrowing this stupid kind of bullying. But they basically steal these two other kids' sleds to go sledding, and the first guy goes sledding down the hill, and he gets to the end and he's like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm down at the bottom. Come after me." And the second guy's like, "Yeah, watch this." And then he sleds. And then Billy jumps out and decapitates him as he's sledding down the hill. And so when the sled gets to the bottom to the other guy, there's no head. There's no head in the corpse. It's just kind of this, standing up with the stump at the neck.
It's pretty fantastic. And then it's also just funny, like, how excited these kids are to like go sledding. Like, it's not like, I don't know, sledding's not that great. Like, once you're that old, I think you're a little over sledding, especially like when they are sledding. It doesn't look that like fun. Like, it's not like they're smoothly going down. Like, looks like they kind of have to propel themselves with their hands a little bit.
Also, what time is this at night now that they're sledding at? Because like the store's closed. He's went around and killed people in a house already.
Yeah. I mean, bare minimum like 10 o'clock, but even that feels like a little safe. Like, feels like it'd be at least midnight or something.
Yeah, it feels like it's late in the night now. Meanwhile, the good nun is working with a detective because she's worried about what's happening. In fact, one of my favorite things, because the music's really over the top in this, whenever anything like shocking happens, like dun dun dun, it's very in your face. When she gets a call from the manager saying, "Oh, Billy's doing great. He's actually filling in now for his Santa Claus," and she puts down the phone with a serious like, dun dun dun. Like, she knows this is dangerous.
You fools! What have you done?
So basically, she figures out that he's probably going back to the orphanage to kill Mother Superior, and probably the biggest problem with this movie is that she doesn't get killed because she deserves it.
Oh yeah. No, instead they killed the death priest.
Yeah, well, no, he doesn't kill the deaf priest. The cop kills the deaf priest.
Fair. Yeah.
Because the deaf priest is walking towards the orphanage dressed as Santa Claus, and the cop shouts out, "Hey, halt!" and he doesn't, so he just shoots him. And then I laugh actually really hard because it cuts to the good nun and the cop, the main detective, like driving towards the orphanage, and he's telling he's like hearing about this over the radio, and he's telling her, "Oh no, he called out and he didn't respond." And she's like, Of course he wouldn't. He's deaf. I laughed out loud when she said that. I'm like, oh, that's gold.
Oh, it's so great. And then well, first of all, I want to say the Good Nun sounds like I don't know, new drama on like NBC or something.
That's all I can think to call her. I don't know her name.
That's fair, but and also it's funny because like this is not the first time that the cops had like almost killed someone dressed up as Santa. Well, I mean, technically this time they did kill them. Yeah. But like they had an incident earlier where they almost shot a guy dressed as Santa.
And it's not even like he's out in the street. They break into someone's house because they see a Santa Claus who's it's a dad dressed up as Santa trying to give his kid a present. Yeah. And they bust in and try and kill him.
Yeah. And then like this is the line that like makes me laugh. Like the little girl's reaction. She goes, "Daddy." Like
and then the cop's like, "Daddy." Oh, this movie's something. It really is. So the cop is like guarding the orphanage until the other one gets there, gets killed eventually. You know, Billy axes him as you do.
Yeah.
And then he comes in to kill Mall Superior. He's walking towards, and he's saying, you know, what was he saying? I think she's yelling out, "Santa's not real. Santa's not real." And he's like, "Oh, you've been naughty. You must be punished."
Yeah.
And then just as he's going to swing the axe at her, the cop shoots him from behind, and that's kind of the end. Barring, of course, the final moment where the camera goes up from the axe and, you know, dead Billy up to this kid in the orphanage. Maybe his brother, although he seems far too young to be his brother.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I do feel like that is supposed to be his brother, but there's no like indication that the movie. I think maybe I'm bringing like stuff I know from the sequel into it, maybe trying to make it make sense, but like, yeah, there's no reason why you would think that. And even if it is like his brother, it's not necessarily like I don't know if he would have the same like trauma that he did because he's like, you know, a baby when all that earlier stuff happened to him.
But this kid's just witnessed a Santa Claus being shot in front of him, so the camera just comes up to him and he's like, "Punish," and then the movie ends on that. Or does he say naughty? Does he say naughty or punish? I can't remember which one he says.
They're kind of like interchangeable for me, so I forget, but
he says one of the two. But the point is he says it like Billy, and it's like dun 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 sequel.
Maybe there's like an evil Christmas spirit that just like jumped from him.
Yeah, jumped from Billy to him. Yeah. I could see
I feel like that's something we would learn about in the fourth movie or something.
Yeah. It turns out there's technically 5 of these. Although everyone after the second sounds like it was just another Christmas horror movie. They got renamed to Silent Night, Deadly Night because they had the rights to the name. We may do one every year for the next 5 years. Why not?
That sounds about good. Yeah.
No need to rush through them. They're Christmas movies after all. They're also very standalone and not related to each other, except 2, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, the movie's a blast. It's definitely a bad movie. It's full of bad acting. It is not. If you're looking for good portrayals of like, you know, human beings. If you're looking for something that's remotely feminist in any way, it is not. This is.
Oh no.
This is, you know, for as much as I love it, we have to call it out. It is like the epitome of like, you know,
it's very sleazy. Like it's, you know, it doesn't really treat anything with like the care that it should. Like talking about like rape and like murder and
there's multiple attempted rapes. There's multiple useless sex scenes. The only female characters who don't take their top off are the nuns. And I was kind of expecting it at some point, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I think you have to call these things out. You know, it's a product of its time. You have to know that going in. But
it's like it's very trashy, but in like, you know, the very entertaining B level kind of way. Like obviously not that you know movies should be like this, but just again, it's one of those ones that you watch it and you just can't help but wonder, like, who the hell is the person that made this movie? Like, what do they think?
I'll tell you who. Charles E. Sellier Jr.
It's just like, what do you think of humanity? Like, how do you think humans work and interact with each other? Because nothing feels natural. But that's kind of what makes it so great. So I mean, who am I to judge him?
I love how this is based on a story by someone and then a screenplay. Like it's got two writers.
Well, yeah, I mean it's based on Christmas.
This is baffling. Yeah. So it's a delightful holiday classic for the whole family to enjoy. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Yeah. No, it's good stuff. I guess we'll rate the movie then. And this is one of these weird ones. It's hard to rate. It's like, do I do it based on objective quality, or do I bring my enjoyment into it and like go higher because of that?
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is kind of a little bit of a mix of both, because like, you know, if like if we're talking about like enjoyment level, like I'd probably give it like an 8 or something. But
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's up there. It's like an 8 out of 10 enjoyment wise.
Yeah, but that feels kind of weird to give something like
how many
that high.
How many genuinely good or even great movies have we given an 8 to? Do we really want to put this next to I don't know, like Hereditary? 8 out of 10. Hereditary, Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Exactly. So I think I'm gonna kind of split the difference and go with a 6.5, because I feel like 7 is still like it's a well-made film category. So I'm gonna go just a little bit below that, but it still gets like a pretty high score just due to the entertainment factor.
I'm going 7. I can't give it an 8. I can't get in good conscience give it an 8, even though I love it. I'm going to give it a 7. That is as high as I'm willing to go, even though it's not actually that good. But it's great, if that makes sense. It is a phenomenal bad movie. This is up there with, The Pit. It's up there with some of these other things that we've done where they're so entertaining despite being so bad and in so many ways. So
yeah, and this is like a yearly watch for me. Like once I love Christmas horror movies. So once it gets to be around this time, this is always a fun one to pull out.
Yeah. So this is the first of 2 Christmas episodes we're doing. You'll get this week. Then next week you'll get another Christmas movie, which is a newer movie. So we'll see how that goes. But we have another one coming next week, so look forward to that. And then the week after that we'll have a New Year's movie. And then finally after that, we'll hopefully get back to chipping through some catch-up 2018 stuff and some sequels that we've got piled up, because, god damn it, there's a lot of them. But yeah, so that has been Saturday Deadly Night. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. All of it does help, because YouTube, like the analytics, and that's how they promote things and whatnot. But of course, if you really want to support us, the show and the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can support us financially for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses and some stuff over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching this show. Keep watching scary movies. Get us on Twitter @ScreamsMidnight. Keep watching scary movies. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time. Merry Christmas. Punish!